Hello everyone, welcome back. I know I sort of disappeared for 2 months or so, but hey, oopsies. As you can tell, I'm great at being consistent. Anyway, today, like how we did an in-depth dive into illagers, today we shall do a deep dive into villagers. I suppose I could have worded that differently. Oh well, as long as I have consent. Anyway, let's get going here. Exactly like last time, since I am a super geek obsessed with the game Minecraft, I have yet again gone and scoured the wiki pages for information on the mob villagers. We are only doing villagers from the regular vanilla Minecraft, and not Minecraft Legends or Dungeons. It's not like there's a whole lot of difference, but anyways, let us begin. In the game Minecraft, there are many different mobs, and even more unique variations of those mobs. The one we shall go over today is the mob villagers, the less evil counterpart to villagers, which we have already covered. Link in description if you wish. Anyway, let us begin. Unlike villagers are a pretty uniform mob. Despite the fact that there are 105 different models for them, they don't have very many individual traits besides differentiating trades based on profession. There are, as I just mentioned, 105 respective models with 15 professions and 7 variations for biome, excluding children. Villagers are passive mobs, meaning they will not attack, and they spawn in a very specific location, being villages and igloo basements. Villages can be found in biomes such as plains, snowy plains, savannas, deserts, taigas, and snowy taigas. Igloos can be found in snowy plains, snowy taigas, and snowy slopes. Villagers can be bred, but not in the typical fashion that most mobs are bred. One other commonly known fact, villagers are one of the 3 mobs which you may trade with using assorted materials depending on the villager's job. Boom! There's our intro. Now let's go deeper. I really need to work on how I word things. Spawning and breeding. Alright, let's go over that again. I missed a few bits. So far, we know that villages naturally generate in 5 biomes, and igloos can be found in 3, but there are 7 different models, and the same one is used for 3 biomes. The math is not quite adding up. While there are 5 different naturally spawning models, 2 being jungle and swamp, are only generated when villages accidentally cross between 2 biomes, or when a villager is bred in either biome. Speaking of breeding, how does that work? In Minecraft, you freak. Well, to breed other breedable mobs, you usually feed them a crop or food of some sort, and they go into love mode and breed with the nearest other compatible mob who is also in love mode. Villagers are a little more complicated. In order to breed villagers, you require 2 adults. There needs to be enough beds for all villagers and incoming ones with 2 blocks of space over top of each. And the villagers require 12 food points in order to be willing enough to breed, as breeding consumes 12 food points. To get a villager into love mode, most people just throw a lot of bread at their villager since it has the highest amount of food points. A villager will become willing to breed when they have either 3 bread, 12 carrots, 12 potatoes, or 12 beetroots in their inventory. What variation of villager the child is determined by the biome it was bred within. Moving on to a category in which is of much personal interest to me, the villager's behavior, including how they socialize with the player, how they gossip, yes, you heard me right, gossip, how they migrate, how they pathfind, and how they respond to certain events such as being attacked. Starting off with how unemployed villagers and nitwits interact with their environment. These 2 villagers both leave their homes at daytime to wander about their village, seeing as they don't have much else to do. Occasionally, villagers will enter and leave their homes or make typical villager noises. Sometimes they will take a pause from their busy lives to stop and socialize with other villagers, meaning they will stop and stare at each other for 4 to 5 seconds. During the day, anytime a player passes by, they will stop and stare at them too, unless they are in danger working, farming, or trying to enter their cozy homes at nighttime. Something fun about baby villagers that I just learned through the making of this video is they play tag with each other, like baby penguins and baby hoglins. In addition, they will jump on beds In Bedrock Edition, these baby villagers, unlike adults, will not stop and stare at you. They will simply act as if you do not exist, a lot like real children. On to how they migrate. Villagers will try not to stray far from their bed or village. If they do not detect a village within 32 blocks within 6 seconds, they will completely forget where they came from. Sadly for them, they never despawn. So, unless they manage to wander back to their village or another one, they are cursed to be all alone out in the wilderness forever. Comforting. Now, what on earth is panicking or gossiping in villager terms? Well, some strange behavior mechanics include villagers having the ability of shaking and spawning splash particle effects during events like raids or zombie sieges. Panicking. They also panic when they see mobs which are hostile towards villagers, and they will run away. Now, another fun one. What on earth is villager gossip? What on earth could they be talking about? Well, it appears villagers are smarter than we give them credit for, and abusing them actually does bring forth consequence in the village community. Villagers actually take note of player actions within the village. This manifests in the form of a function called gossip, in which there are 5 types with varying outcomes. This gossip gets spread when you see villagers stop and talk to each other. Your interactions with the villagers grant you a reputation, and here's a chart which displays exactly what comes from how you interact with these strange NPCs. When you have a very low rep with these fellas, trades increase in price, and vice versa. Another fun little bit of socialization is, at a point late in the Minecraft day, the villagers will gather around the village bells and converse with each other by making the classic They will also share food and breed. Should there be no bell to gather around, they will just wander about the village. Now, pathfinding. Villagers tend to prefer walking on something called low-cost blocks in Bedrock Edition, being like dirt, grass, pathways, etc. For some reason, that is only Bedrock though. In terms of pathfinding, villagers avoid walking over cliffs more than 3 blocks, and most blocks which take health points. But another funny thing I just learned is when in a crowd, they will straight ditch their homies and push them off a cliff. Oopsies, I guess? Talk about betrayal. Villagers can interact with and open any wooden door, but not trapdoors and fence gates. Villagers, a lot like every other passive mob, will run away when faced with danger like zombies, zombie villagers, husks, drown, mobbified piglins, zombified piglins, zoglins, vindicators, pillagers, ravagers, and vexes, evokers, and illusioners. However, they do not run away from skeleton spiders or cave spiders.
Every day I'm shuffling.
Villager jobs. How do villager jobs work? So, to start off, there are technically 15 professions, as I already stated: unemployed villagers, nitwits, armorers, butchers, cartographers, clerics, farmers, fishermen, fletchers, leatherworkers, librarians, masons, shepherds, toolsmiths, and weaponsmiths. Nitwits are a villager type which wear green and are unable to acquire professions from job blocks or trade. So, in turn, they are basically useless, hence the name Nitwit. In Java Edition, attempting to trade with a nitwit causes it to make the classic villager and shake its head in disapproval. Thankfully, they aren't too common to find though. Moving on, unemployed villagers may acquire a job through finding a job block or having one placed near them. When they acquire a job, they spawn green particle effects and promptly change their appearance to align with their new job. A villager who has not yet been traded with will lose its profession when its job block is removed. A villager who has already been traded with will remain with their profession forever and keep their trades. Unemployed villagers can claim job blocks only if the block is unclaimed, meaning you need as many job blocks as you have villagers you want in said profession. Now, let us go over job blocks. How many? 13. What are they? Armor, blast furnace, butcher, smoker, cartographer, cartography table, cleric, brewing stand, farmer, composter, fletcher, fletching table, leatherworker, cauldron, librarian, lectern, mason, stonecutter, shepherd, loom, toolsmith, looting table, weaponsmith, grindstone. Oh my god. Boom. Trading. Okay, so here we go with the byproduct of having a job, capitalism. How does it work in Minecraft? With villagers, you can buy and sell certain products depending on the villager you are talking to. You can trade for items such as crops, tools, weapons, enchantments, maps, blocks, all kind of luxuries. It's not always a good deal though, especially with these A main currency besides other goods in this game is emeralds, a beautiful green gem with which villagers have an innate fascination. Trading with villagers levels them up. There are 5 levels: novice, apprentice, journeyman, expert, and master. When they increase by a level, they unlock all new trades. Well, not all new. They unlock new trades. When villagers get new trades, they are given 10 seconds of regeneration, emitting pink potion effects along with green ones. When they level up, they also drop more XP. Like in real life, vendors have limited stock. When they run out of a certain item, it is restocked when the villager next interacts with its job block, but only up to 2 times in a day. Again, like real life, Minecraft happens to have supply and demand, so prices of certain items fall and raise over time. When a player holds something a villager wants, they will so cutely hold up the item in exchange. Assorted fun details. Now we are near the end, and I have some fun villager mechanics for you. Let us start out with how iron golems end up in the mix. As you may know, iron golems show up around villagers, or villages a lot, as they are kind of like the village's defense against hostile mobs. How does this happen? Well, you see, it's a pretty cool thing that summons these mysterious tall, white, robust individuals. To summon an iron golem, the villagers require 1 villager panicking in a group of 3 or 5 villagers gossiping. If these villagers do not feel the presence of a golem within 16 blocks of their location for 30 seconds, they will summon another. Now, a fun fact. When a villager is struck by lightning, they turn into a witch that doesn't despawn. How cool. If you can't tell, I do not like witches. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you return. Please return. Please. I'm begging. Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's all I wrote. Anyway, I can't talk apparently, but anyway, thank you. Yeah, that's all. Bye.